Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with WildCats number 5. And this was an excellent read, but I feel a little confused. For those of you that have been longtime readers of WildCats, if you could help me out down in the comments, I would appreciate it. What I mean by that is at the end of issue 4, we saw that Spartan died, but Marlowe explained how he's a cyborg and he was regenerating. And then we saw another character at the end of the book. I can't remember his name. I want to say that was the leader of Gen 13, but I could be wrong. Feel free to make fun of me down in the comments. But maybe that's a later arc. And then also, I think there's been a passage of time, because if we remember through the first 4 issues, Zealot had short hair. Well, right here it shows that it's significantly grown out and how we've come to know her through the years. And when I went back and looked at the Image fandom site, it was showing that before this there was an issue 4 that showed the origins of Void, and then it led up to the accounts of issue 1. So if I'm missing something, please let me know down in the comments, because I feel a little confused. But that aside, excellent issue, and it focuses on Zealot and Grifter, my 2 favorite. Now, Jim Lee does kind of put in a, right here for Killer Instinct Prologue First Blood, he does kind of say he's back. You can pause that and read it at your convenience, talk about how he decided to extend the miniseries. Speaking of, Brandon Choi and Jim Lee story, Jim Lee pencils, Scott Williams inks, Joe Cheeto colors. Here's everyone else working on the book, and the print date on this was November 1993. And the reason I say Grifter and Zealot are my 2 favorites is the way they work off one another. They, Zealot's the very serious one. Like, Zealot to me reminds me of a mixture of Wonder Woman and Storm in terms of her focus and how she kind of comes from the other because she was the leader of the Coda, and how Storm was also kind of separated in Africa and then came to America. So just very much I can see both their personalities and how they built her. Now these 2, they're going to infiltrate this place. I can't remember what the name of the place is, but it's like a cybernetic lab essentially for the Daemonites. And I like how Grifter says, "I don't get it, Zealot. What is that, Brother Grifter? How come we're always the first ones to go in? I believe you were the one who volunteered for this mission, with that nonsense about it being your source who gave us the lead." Well, yeah, and he's come through it for us before. Now, with that said, we kind of get the buildup of what's going on in that regard. And I kind of feel like, I don't want to give too much away, but you get these fold-out splash pages, and I kind of feel like this is Jim Lee showing off. And what I mean by that, we'll get into it in a moment. Grifter sees that there's no real other way in, and there's more security than he thought. And he's like, "Ready or not, we're going in. Just follow my lead." "Wait, Grifter, there's still the roof." "Why do I even bother?" And see, that stuff like that makes it fun. So you get this page, flip it over, and I've never seen a triple splash page before. The way that Zealot is just center focus and she's smashing through the window. We got Grifter coming blowing in like that. Just astounding. I would love to see the team sitting down, first Jim Lee penciling this and then inking it and coloring it with the rest of the art team. That would have been awesome. Now, the book is primarily narrated by Grifter. He's like, "Zealot's a regular angel of death, and being a former Majestic of the Coda damn near puts her in the same league. She's hell on wheels, and nothing up in heaven or on this earth is going to stop her once she gets rolling. Even convinced me to leave Team T to help her in the crusade against these alien goons called the Daemonites. And for the past couple of years, we've been the dream team nightmare for them and their organization, the Cabal." So I guess it's been a couple of years since issue 4, but I love this splash page there. And then, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to fold out another page here. 1, 2, 3, 4-page splash page. I mean, look at this thing. I mean, I've never seen anything like this before in a comic book. And that's like almost damn near poster worthy right there. That is gorgeous. The only thing that it makes it kind of hard to read, so you have to really kind of remember where you are and how it folded, or else you're going to be so lost. And then trying to turn the pages without bending them. That was always the thing about fold-out pages that I hated. So you just gotta, okay, we're good. And another reason why I like Cole Grifter is because he always acts like he's so cocksure. And, where is it? He's like, look, I know what I'm doing, Zealot, and there's no one alive who can get the drop on me. I know it. He's like, now we just make a left at this corner, and we're in a whole world of trouble. And then Zealot was warning him earlier. She said, you know, with that mouth of yours, you're always going to end up with someone else's foot in your mouth. I want to bring that up. Keep it in mind. I'll reference it later. But because Cole's so cocksure, and then he just kind of gets a little slice of humble pie. But nonetheless, even though they harp on each other, you know that they care for one another, they're teammates, and they're going to be watching for each other. He's like, you know, I hate it when she's right all the time. It just makes me laugh. Now, the whole focus of this place, I can't remember the name of it, they come to find out that the Daemonites are utilizing the same synthetic stuff that made Spartan. And this whole thing just, it's very trippy. I love the whole spherical look about it. Just the artwork is such a treat. And before Cole can make any type of assumptions on it, we are introduced to this guy who, I guess Cole has a sensor that reads life form so he doesn't get the drop on him. But this guy does. And his name's Heinrich. Oh, hold on. His name is something else. Heinrich Richthofen. And so, big old fight. Love the action lines. Again, as the story unfolds, the artwork just really complements it. And I love the paneling when they do stuff like this. It just really adds to that intensity of what's going on. So we have this Richthofen who's Daemonite possessed. And then we have this character named Misery. Now, if anybody knows where Misery comes from, let me know, because there's something we're going to talk about here in a second. So Cole is basically taking an ass kicking right here. He says she kicks him in the face, and he goes, I guess that's the foot Zealot was talking about. So another piece of humble pie. But what I like is Cole is loyal to his teammates, and all he's doing is stalling for time so that, once we get past an ad, the WildCats can come. And just love the way they blast in, you know, Void teleporting them in. Got Maul, and we got Pris, what's her name? Voodoo, Spartan, and then of course Warblade. And I like how they put Voodoo's power on display. This kind of reminds me of Psylocke. It says, imbued with the power of sight, Voodoo reaches out with her psionic powers to reach into the mind of Dr. Heinrich Richthofen. Once the mind lock is established, she sees through the Daemonite's human disguise and finds the monster within. More importantly, though Voodoo possesses the ability to physically and psychically separate the parasite and the host entities apart from each other, thereby exorcising the Daemonite out of the human body host. And just the way it is so, that is rough. That looks like something you'd see from Alien, and I think that's what the Daemonites are based off, because this was the 90s, because they're talking about in here, they talk about cybernetic organisms, so a lot of T2 and Alien influence in the early 90s, folks. That's just how it is. Aliens and Terminator were a big thing, and that you wonder why about the 90s, 80s and 90s generation, why we're a little warped. And if you watch the show, the cartoon, I like how the Daemonites are just kind of green, but when you see them here, they're so terrifying. And it's a lot more violent, as you can see Spartan just tearing this Daemonite apart. Now, the reason I was talking about Misery, if anybody knows where she's from, apparently her and Reno, aka Warblade, were lovers. And that's not been referenced in the first 4 issues. I don't know if it's in the 0 issue. So it feels a little disjointed, but you're just kind of like, okie dokie. And even though it's quick, I like how the writer, utilizing his hybrid power to instantaneously flex portions of his body into lethal instruments of death. Warblade slashes and cuts open the woman he once loved more than life itself. And Warblade, to me, kind of reminds me of a cybernetic version of Wolverine. Now, the rest of the book I don't want to give away because the plot is pretty much straightforward. They're trying to figure out how they got Spartan's cybernetic information, and kind of a ticking clock begins to happen. But with that said, because, well, again, this is where I was saying I think Jim Lee was showing off, because not only do we get that splash page, I mean, look at this, another one. And just Warblade and Misery fighting. My God, I would take both of these if it didn't ruin the value of the comic, and I would hang this on my wall. That is gorgeous. I mean, look at that. That is great human anatomy, the way it's drawn. It doesn't look flat. It doesn't look boring. It's dynamic. The colors are just pristine, and they pop. The blood, it's just everything you want in a comic book right here, folks. This is what you want. Now, again, there's a reason that Warblade's still attacking her. I don't want to give it away. Love that primal look on his face, just wanting to tear out this woman's throat. And I want to know more why he hates her, because there's nowhere else that I know that this would be referenced. But anyway, ticking clock. There's some absolute stakes that end here at the book. I don't want to give away what happens, what I'm talking about. I know I'm being a little vague. I know this book is umpteen years old. Don't care if you guys have never read it. I don't want to spoil it. I just kind of want to give you guys a taste of what's in WildCats number 5. I mean, look at those gorgeous splash pages with the art. And what's great is this is one of those ones where you open it up, the artwork sucks you in immediately, and the story's compelling. I love the way the relationship works between these two. It's just very much buddy cop. And the reason I say that is I don't know if down the line they have a relationship or not. They do in the show, and it works, and it developed organically. And I'm kind of hoping as I continue on that this sort of happens in the book as well. So with that said, WildCats number 5, folks, highly recommend. Great book. If you've enjoyed it, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little WildCats roar bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.